Welcome back. Last time out we looked at mixing, and this time let's look at something close to or something that resembles mixing, and that's extend. Now extend and mixing are similar. As a matter of fact, you may have to at the end of it ask what they need. But first, let's go to our index.html and make some changes. Now, so I want to create here a div that has two paragraphs, and I want to say for the first one the text is sign up successful, and second one sign up fail. Let me call these class messages, and this one say class message, and this class message as well, but with each one having a modifier message dash success and dash fail. And let's say these are the two possibilities when trying to sign up a user. Either the sign up is successful or it fails. And I want to have a common styles applied to these two possibilities, but a specific style in each case. Let's say I want to have a common background for the paragraph. Then when it is successful, I want a green text, but a red text when it fails. So how do I achieve that? Of course, this is not what you would do in a typical design, but I'm just letting you see so that I can explain the extend feature. So let's go back to our main.scss. Let me add to our variables that we've created here. Let me add, say, color red. For now, let me just call it red. And another variable, let me call it message bg for background, and I give it this value. It's a light green. Okay, so now let me create a selector that can be extended. Like mixing, where we create and we say at mixing name with extend, all I just need to do is to create a selector, and this selector I will call it message. And what do I have to pass into message? I just need that background color. Say background color message bg. I want a padding of 10 pixels. Those are the two declarations or properties I want for the message. Now, for the specific message, to do that, all I need to do is message dash success. And to extend a selector, all I need to do is again use the @ symbol and say extend. Extend what? Extend message, like so. And I can then add the specific property that is peculiar to message success, and that's the fact that I want a green text to show that my sign up was successful, or the sign up was successful. So I can use my variable green to achieve that. So color, dear color green, and repeat the same thing for message fail. So let me just copy it. I'm getting lazy already. And paste. So in this case now, I just change it to color red. Now if you look at what happened here, I have a message selector created that have these two properties, and these two properties are common to both scenarios of success and fail. Let me change this to fail if I forget that. But in each case, for success, I have color green, and for fail, I have color red. Right? Now, without this extended selector, I will have to repeat these two things here and here. Don't forget that this course borders on reusability and maintainability. If I save my work now and take a look at style.css first, because I want to show you something. But before I show you that, let's once again look at what happened in the case of mixin. In the case of mixin, don't forget that the entire selector is copied over to the selector that is referencing the mixin. Like for example, when we had button here, it copies over all the declarations we have for that CTA button here and here. But in the case of extend, let me show you what happened. Now, if you look at our style.css now, look at our message, that it has updated that selector message we created by adding the modifier message fail and message success. I'm sure this is probably not what you had in mind. We're probably thinking that, oh, what's the difference between extend and mixin? Because that's the same thing I felt initially until I saw the way it was implemented, the behind the scene implementations of it. That in the case of extend, the selector that is being extended is actually modify, adding the extending selectors to it. So message fail and message success are the extending selector, while message is the extended selector. So instead of copying them over, that is the two attributes here, instead of copying them over, or these two properties, instead of copying them over to message success and message fail, rather it adds message success and message fail to this selector message. So that's the subtle difference between mixin and extend. If you look at what happened there, you can then begin to say, oh, now look at the case of mixin. You see button and button sign up that it repeats the selectors in both cases. And if they are up to 10 now, this is how this bunch of properties and values will be repeated in those 10 places. I know at this point you may begin to say, okay, in that case, it means extend is better or it's more performant where it's not that straightforward. Because even in the case of mixin, the user doesn't really download more, even though it appears as if there are more things to download, because when it downloads this and it gets to this place, the only thing that will be downloaded here will be what is not here that is here. So ultimately, there's little or no difference between the way the two work. All right, so that's extend, and you see what it brings to the table. That when you have multiple selectors that share certain properties and values, then you could carve out those properties and values in a selector and extend it in the extending selector like we've just done. And by doing that, you save yourself task of having to repeat all of those selectors in each instance where you just need to have them. Now let's take a look at the page and see what has happened. So you can see now that both have this light background, while this success has text color of green and this has a text color of red. So I've used one stone here to kill two birds. And that's the power of extend in Sass. I'll see you in the next lesson.